Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome.
There's a time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to put your bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. And you've got to indicate to the people who run it, to the people who own it, that unless you're free, the machine will be prevented from working at all. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
As long as the Matrix exists, the human race will never be free.
Start somewhere. It has to start sometime. What better place than here? What better time than now?
Terrorists! Terrorize this.
I know you're out there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin. I'm going to hang up this phone, and then I'm going to show these people what you don't want them to see. I'm going to show them a world without you. A world without rules and controls, without borders or boundaries. A world where anything is possible. Where we go from there is a choice I leave to you.
That's right. Hey, terrorists, you better terrorize this. That's right. I cut off the Matrix part tonight. I just did it. What the hell? How's everybody doing after your Christmas weekend? I know, I'm not starting the show off like I normally do. It's all right. Change, baby, change. It's all right. It's all right. Okay, now I'll do it. Greetings, free thinkers, sheepdogs, revolutionaries, and anti-globalists. It is Monday, December 26, 2011, and you have found yourselves covered in a gel-like substance, being bitten by genetically modified mosquitoes here on the front lines in this war on our humanity. Yeah, that's right. You didn't see that. Gel and mosquitoes. I'm your host, Darren Stone, broadcasting to you live from a desolate outpost somewhere in FEMA Region 1. Tonight's call-in number is 917-889-3064. So dial the number, people. Let your voice be heard. You might even get a T-shirt tonight. You know, I've got these T-shirts kicking around. I don't know if you've heard about it, but I have a couple. So dial up, you know. It's your phone number. You can call in and let your voice be heard because, remember, kids, being made to submit to a federal employee with the IQ equivalent to room temperature for transporting cupcakes across state lines is not the time to speak up. So 917-889-3064. Let me go a little slower. 917-889-3064. That is the number. All righty. So everybody have a great Christmas weekend. I hope so. You know, and I'm not going to be politically correct. I'm not going to go, you know, does everybody have a great Christmas weekend? You know, if you celebrate Christmas, I'm just talking to you guys. No, it was Christmas. It's Christmas weekend, and if you celebrate Christmas, I'm asking you if you had a great weekend. That's it. Simple. Very simple. Can't get wrapped up in this political correctness all the time. Turns into news speak, a la 1984. Right? All right. Before we get going, and I'm going to bring up a little issue with Santa Claus. Okay, I'm going to get to that after these plugs. I have an idea, and kicking this idea around, and actually going to start this idea right after the program. Actually, the idea starts right now. A little promo for the Front Radio show here. If you're a member of the Front's Facebook page, then the first member of the Front's Facebook page to get 5 people to like the page, 5 new people to like the page, I'll give you a free T-shirt. I know it's not a lot, but it's a really nice shirt. Okay, and we have to spread the word. So, first person to get 5 of your friends to like the front page on Facebook, you get a free T-shirt. And they're nice T-shirts, by the way. I will put a picture of a T-shirt up so you can see it. It's a T-shirt you'd actually wear out, out of your house. So, just want to say that. Also, those of you receiving the front newsletter and those of you that want to receive the front newsletter, if you want to receive it, please shoot me an email at thefront@live.com, and you will get the next newsletter, which I'm going to try to have completed so that the woman behind the curtain, Jules, can send out the email for us in the next couple days. So if you want one of the Front's new newsletters, they're pretty sweet, actually. Just drop me an email at thefront@live.com and you'll get one. All of you already on the email list, you now have something to look forward to in your email box. Also, let's see. Since you're probably rolling around in your favorite recliner on the couch, in your computer chair, or whatever, after stuffing your faces this holiday weekend, mosey on over to frontradio.net. Check it out. It is an all-inclusive website. I guarantee you could spend a couple hours on there looking at all the information. And also, I want to do some plugs for some friends of mine. Governmentrag.com, Stephanie Sledge. I've had her on the show a couple times. Very nice lady, runs a website. Governmentrag.com. She's got all your truth or headlines every day. And she's also featuring the Front Radio show on the homepage of the Government Rag. So go check that out. Also, most importantly right now, everybody, is nuclear fallout from Fukushima and how it's affecting us across the country. To get your up-to-date information on that, please check out, if you're on Facebook, check out Radchick on Facebook. But also, my friends have kicked off a new website called FukushimaFacts.com. That's FukushimaFacts.com. Check that website out for all of your up-to-date Fukushima radioactive fallout. By the way, Radchick every couple of days is giving international fallout forecasts where you can expect the most fallout to hit. Okay, so it doesn't matter. It's not just the United States. It's all over the world. And these are the fallouts usually have. The fallout amount is usually coinciding with different types of weather fronts. So check that out, FukushimaFacts.com. And also, if you're up a little later this evening, check out the What the F program on the Orion Talk Radio Network. My buddies over at Orion Talk Radio Network. And I have some friends that host the What the F show. Check that out. 10 o'clock tonight, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I was actually a guest on the What the F show last Monday. And, hey, it was fun. We had a good time. It wasn't like this program. It was entertaining, I should say. Not that this isn't entertaining sometimes, but a different type of entertainment. So check out the What the F program on Orion Talk Radio Network, and also check out Orion Talk Radio Network's page on Facebook. Lots of great articles. We share a lot of articles, but Orion Talk Radio's page is a little busier than mine. So check out their page, Orion Talk Radio Network on Facebook. All right. So back to the Christmas weekend. Look, Santa. If we're looking at Santa Claus, you guys that are on the Front's Facebook page may have noticed a post I put up with Santa Claus being accused of terrorism. And, using today's logic, Santa Claus is an obvious terrorist. And when I say logic, okay, I'm using that term extremely loosely. I'm referring to the government, Department of Homeland Security, TSA, NSA, Northcom, blah, 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 CIA, FBI, all those people. You think about Santa Claus, and first of all, the guy, he can't be flying around international airspace unaccounted for. So, obvious national security threat, right? He's probably tracked via Predator drone. But how did they even know he was coming? Yes, everybody knows Santa Claus gets in his sleigh on Christmas Eve, but the timing, it's which direction is he going to head to first? You know? Well, seems that Santa posted on his Facebook page, NSA database filter programs, keyed in on a few words that Santa had typed, alerted the NSA and Northcom to his projected route. He was followed by a Predator drone, and then once he landed, intercepted by a TSA Viper team. Brought up on charges of terrorism. Why? Santa asked. What are you doing? I've been doing this forever. What's the deal? Well, they said, look, man, a couple things here. A, you can't be just going into people's houses, stealing cookies, and leaving suspicious packages. We don't know what's in those packages, okay? Also, candy canes. Had a couple candy canes on them. We all know what the Department of Homeland Security said about candy canes. They could be sucked on and made to a point and used as a weapon. This guy's batting 0 for 3 right now. All right? So, that's just a look at, what else do we have? The whole thing, and the whole thing, the suspicious packages are the main thing. Also, I don't think he ever had a permit for those reindeer. The EPA concerned about reindeer droppings. Look, they do the same with the Amish, everybody. Cow droppings go into water, and the SWAT teams come in and crack down on the Amish at gunpoint. Look, Santa Claus is no different. All right, we can't give him special treatment just because he likes to spread joy. And the other thing, when you take a real close look at Santa Claus, why has it taken this long to catch up with that guy? I happen to think Santa Claus might be an inside job. But I'm going to do some research, investigating, and I'll get back to you on that. So that's my take on Santa Claus. Oh, and the elves work visas? Don't know if he has those. Anyway. All right. Santa Claus. Let's move on to some serious topics. What do I have for you on the program this evening? I have genetically modified mosquitoes about to be released on the citizens of Florida. Although I thought this already took place earlier this summer as far as the dengue fever incidents went. I could be mistaken. Also, we're going to go over the view on who is a terrorist, what are terrorist activities, and look, I know we've beat these subjects to death a few times on this program and other programs like it, but you guys have to realize there's a lot of people starting to filter into these programs now, these types of radio broadcasts. A lot of people are waking up. A lot of people are going, something's wrong. So we're going to go over a little bit about terror and how it's being viewed in this country, how we're turning ourselves into a 1984 type society. I personally think we're already there, barring the gray jumpsuits. And we have a cop that goes crazy, thinks that he can do anything he wants, and I say that because that's what he said. And then we have another great article from a new writer, or newly discovered writer for myself, Madison Rupert from endthelie.com. Madison is writing some excellent articles, and I'm going to cover one of his in detail again on this program. I'm also going to have him on the show. He already agreed to come on the show, but I haven't touched base with him since the holidays started. I will get a hold of him, and I'll try to get him on maybe the first show of the new year, something like that. In the next few shows for sure, because I want to talk to him. He's a young guy, so I'm really impressed. And then we might, if we have time, we'll get into 2012, what's in store for that, and all that kind of groovy stuff. All right, so let's check out some genetically modified mosquitoes and what the deal is. Yeah, the first thing, let's just, before we even get into this article, let's just think about the title, Genetically Modified Mosquitoes to be released in the U.S. for the first time. I don't know how many people are aware of things out there like genetically modified foods, but they seem to have a very adverse effect on on the human body. All right? And why we would ever start genetically modifying animals and releasing them into the wild, or insects, I should say, without really having any idea what the consequences would be, is beyond me. Oh, wait, sorry, that's right. There's a massive eugenics program in place. I'm sorry, I forgot about that. All right, let's hit the article. To those of you who have been eager to hear the latest news concerning the potential release of genetically modified mosquitoes, here it is. It turns out that genetically modified mosquitoes could be released in the U.S. environment as early as January of 2012. Well, I know they're not going to release them up here in FEMA Region 1 because it's freaking cold. So, it's going to have to be somewhere warm, so most likely Florida. Ah, yes, and here it is. A private firm, another key couple of words there, a private firm, meaning they have to answer to no one. Okay, no FOI, no Freedom of Information Act for those people. A private firm plans to initiate the release of genetically modified mosquitoes in the Florida Keys. Florida will be the first beta testing grounds to determine whether or not the mosquitoes lead to detrimental environmental and genetic impact. Well, it's just a testing ground. It's not where you live, people in Florida, where all of my family is. It's a testing ground for this private firm. How's that sound? Pretty good, right? Yes, excellent comment in chat. Bill Gates is responsible for the funding of genetically modified mosquitoes. Yes, he is. That eugenics little nerdy scumbag, Bill Gates. Yes, he is responsible for it. Also, primary financier in the global food vault. That happens to be in Antarctica, where nobody could probably get to the not global food vault, global seed vault, where nobody could get to the seeds anyways. Really, you're going to throw it out in Antarctica or Iceland or wherever or Greenland, wherever that thing is. It's someplace inaccessible to most of us. Okay. Logistically, there's something weird with it. Never mind the fact that it's even there in the first place and Bill Gates funded it. Why would you need a doomsday seed vault if you weren't expecting doomsday? Don't know. All right. Hey, I'm just a crazy conspiracy theorist like John F. Kennedy, All right. And no, I'm not comparing myself to John F. Kennedy. So before I get some crazy email telling me not to do that, I'm not doing that. I'm just pointing out the fact that Kennedy also said there's a conspiracy against all of us. Okay. So, where was I here? Okay, so they're going to be released in the Florida Keys. Florida will be the first beta testing ground to determine whether or not the mosquitoes lead to detrimental environmental and genetic impact. Residents in this area will also be subjected, without choice, to these genetically manipulated insects unless the private firm decides to seek permission. How would you know anyway? How are you going to, unless it looks like the mosquito that I just threw up in my pictures in the chat room there, unless it looks like that, how are you going to know if it's a genetically modified mosquito that's biting you? You're not. So do you think this company is actually going to seek permission and draw attention to this? Probably not. Is this story on CNN or Fox or MSNBC or NPR tonight? I don't know. Is it? I don't listen to those things, so I couldn't tell you. But I doubt it. The first mosquito release took place in the Cayman Islands in the Caribbean in 2009. On Sunday, October 27th, the release was discussed in a scientific paper by the Journal of Nature Biotechnology, with the reporting concluding the release a success. A second trial occurred in 2010 where 6,000 mosquitoes were released in Malaysia for further experiments. The mosquitoes are genetically modified with a gene designed to kill them unless given an antibiotic known as tetracycline. Offspring of the genetically modified mosquitoes receive the same lethal gene which kill the offspring before it can ever reach adulthood. As more genetically modified mosquitoes mate with wild mosquitoes, the idea is that more and more offspring will be produced with the lethal gene, thereby reducing the mosquito population. You know what? It's not our business to be reducing a mosquito population. It's called an ecosystem. Of course, the risks these mosquitoes pose, both on the environment as well as the health to all living creatures, are highly known, leaving everyone with many more questions than answers. We've already seen how terribly genetic modification can threaten the environment and human health, yet people are still moving towards a genetically modified world. No, it's not people. It's Bill Gates, okay? It's the FDA, it's Monsanto, it's the government. I don't consider them people because they don't care about other people. It's obvious. It's a testing ground, right? With the release of a genetically modified insects could come the downfall of both local and global ecosystems, as well as negative consequences concerning the food chain. There's simply no way of knowing what could happen by replacing the natural-born life forms on planet Earth with genetically modified creations. I mean, really, it's madness. Okay. Oh, okay. Here we go. So here's some questions that still remain unanswered. We have a comment in chat. What is wrong with the genetically modified world? It helps with evolution. Wow. Really? Okay. Excellent. How does that help? Really, explain yourself, and I'll get back to that. Or you can call in if you'd like, 917-889-3064. Will Oxitec, the creator of the insects, need to require the free and informed consent of residents in Key West for the release of GM mosquitoes? Will the previous release of the mosquitoes in the Cayman Islands, there was no public consultation taken on potential risks, and informed consent was not given to locals. With 0.5% of the released insects being female, the gender which bites humans, what happens to humans if bitten by the female mosquitoes? I guess you got to check first. You got to just peek under there real quick and see who's biting you. What would happen? What could happen to the ecosystem of a local food chain with a major decrease in the? Oh boy, I cannot even pronounce that. It's a type of mosquito. It's the scientific name for this type of mosquito, and so I'm not even going to attempt it. So what could happen to the ecosystem of local food chains with the major decrease in this mosquito's population? And who will regulate the release, and who will be responsible in the event of complications to any degree? Well, I can answer that question. Nobody will be responsible because, you see, it's a private company, a private firm. Right? That's why it's being done by a private firm. All right. And if Florida and the U.S. approves Oxitec's planned release of these genetically modified mosquitoes, we will become that much closer to future genetic modification of living creatures as well as the potential collapse of environmental and human health. So there you go. We have a caller on the line. Let's see. Hello, caller. Are you there?
Yeah, hey, how you doing?
How you doing? Are you the guy in the comment and chat?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, so good. So tell me how genetically modified things help with evolution.
Well, I think there's a lot of ways when you look at it. I mean, obviously the simplest idea I can think of as far as going into evolution is when you look at, for instance, there's screenings currently that people have when you have children, and to find out if there's any major defects that prior to having birth, and they can determine, whether they're going to have certain diseases or maybe certain disorders or whatever.
And that helps with evolution.
Well, you're not letting me get to my point. My point is that in that is that genetically down the road you'll be able to use you'll be able to identify that specific gene, and you'll be able to, with genetic modification, eventually you'll be able to get in there and prevent these diseases from happening, so then you'll be able to have a kid that perhaps doesn't have Down syndrome later on in life. So, I mean, that's one way right there.
Okay, so you're basically holding out hope in the future that something will actually be cured, even though nothing's been cured in over 100 years from the medical industry or biotech companies like Monsanto or eugenicists like Bill Gates, right? I mean, so let me ask you this: so tell me this: how does releasing genetically modified mosquitoes on an unknowing population without knowing the results, how does that benefit anybody?
Well, I mean, it gives you a chance to see what type of reaction they're going to have to it. I mean, in my opinion, I think that, in order to be able to advance our society, we got to be able to have some type of test environment to determine, what is out there and what type of impact this will have. Without that, I mean, we're basically a society built on science. So, in order to be able to understand this stuff, that's the most logical way to do it.
So if actually, it's not the most logical way to do it, and I'll tell you what the most logical way to do it is. So you're pro genetic modification because you're looking at it as a way to prevent disease in the future.
Prevent disease in the future. I mean, there's all types of things that it can do. I mean, if you look at food, I mean, the food you're eating is genetically modified. So, I mean, just about anything you eat, whether it be an apple or anything, that's all genetically modified.
Well, not all of it, but the vast majority is. You're correct about that. And so obviously, genetically modified food is helping us a lot. Is that the opinion you have?
I think genetically modified food, all the types of shots and stuff, as far as like flu shots and stuff. I mean, that's all genetically derived after a while. I mean, I think it's just helped advance our society so much further.
Really?
People, in my opinion, yeah. I mean, I understand that people think it's a conspiracy.
How has genetically modified food helped our society and helped us as human beings? I mean, how is genetically modified food helping us in a positive way?
One case in point, real simple. You take some of the genes of a tomato and you put it in with a certain apple population, and it helps prevent bruising of certain apples. I mean, I think a lot of people always get into the conspiracy side, and
it's not a conspiracy, brother. It's not a conspiracy.
Not everyone.
There's factual
the
evidence.
The thing is not everyone.
I mean, if you look at the
not everyone's out to get you.
No, not everyone is. Just the people that run the show. Just the people that run the show. I mean, if you're going to go into vaccinations, let's talk about mercury and squalene. Let's talk about busting through the blood-brain barrier, okay, with mercury. Is mercury good to have in your brain? I don't think so. Let me ask you this. The genetically modified foods, what are the cancer rates at in this country right now? What are the autoimmune deficiency diseases at in this country right now? Which genetically modified foods have been shown and proven to be immunotoxins and excitotoxins, right?
Well, true. But then also you look at, I mean, people are living a lot longer, so I think that's more the reason why you're seeing so much more cancer incidents
actually,
in this
people
country.
aren't really living that much longer. It has to do with the law of averages and infant death rates back in the day. But I'm not going to get into that with you. I mean, look, I appreciate you calling. I'm in 100% disagreement with you on genetically modified foods. And if you can show me any evidence to the contrary, okay, evidence that was not formulated by the biotech company that formulated the genetic modification in the first place, please email it to me so I can unlearn what I already learned. Because,
I mean, if you can give me something that's not off of the Alex Jones website, then I would appreciate that too.
Okay, so we can go to Monsanto's website if you like. We can go to a bunch of other websites. I don't need to go to Alex Jones' website, okay?
Well, anyone that's not a conspiracy theorist.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist, brother. I'm a conspiracy factist, okay?
Do you also think 9/11 was an inside job?
Without a doubt. And anybody that doesn't, you're fooling yourself with an ideology and an idea and a belief system.
Really?
Yes, really.
So you think our government's that powerful?
No, I don't think our government's that powerful. But, I mean, the government can keep a secret. We can always use the Manhattan Project to point that out. But our government is not run by our government. You see, you already know all these things, and you're trying to bait me into stuff. Why are you even listening to
No, I'm not. I'm not. But my question is, though, I guess my next thing would be is, like, you're saying, like, you keep saying Bill Gates. What has Bill Gates done other than create the Windows system? Bill Gates has done nothing but make my pockets fat as far as owning Microsoft
Bill Gates
stock.
has been outspoken in saying that he wants to control birth rates through vaccinations. Okay? It's none of Bill Gates' business. If Bill Gates should stick to exactly what you just said Bill Gates is doing. Build computer stuff, okay? Stay out of vaccination. Don't fund doomsday seed vaults. I mean, what the hell, man?
Well, I don't know what he said. I mean, I don't necessarily. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I don't agree with anything Bill Gates says. I agree with things that Warren Buffett says.
Listen to me. You just said something that was untrue, and I just told you something that was true. So now you go do your homework and listen. And
what did I say was untrue? You got to tell me that first. I'm laughing now.
Say what you said that was untrue is you said, what did Bill Gates has ever done? He's only wanted to build Windows platforms or whatever you said, just computers. No, that's not true at all. He has his dirty little nerdy hands in a lot of different things.
Oh, come on. See, now you're getting into conspiracy theories again.
Listen, I'm not getting a conspiracy theory, okay? Like I said, the words came from his mouth.
I mean, he's a philanthropist. I understand that.
He's a philanthropist.
But, I mean,
and how did he become a philanthropist?
How? Because he's made billions of dollars.
Oh, okay. Isn't that funny how all philanthropists are billionaires, right? Did you ever maybe?
They're the ones who have the money to give. You don't. If you're poor, you can't give them any money, can you?
Wow, and all that giving is really helping out, isn't it? I mean, look at the state of.
Yeah, I guess if you go look at some of his charities, then you would find out that it is.
Charities? What? Like his wife tramping around down in Africa trying to sell vaccines give vaccines out to the poor people in Africa, right? I mean, they'll help the poor. Hey, they'll help the poor people in Africa just like the UN does, right?
So do you think? And I'm just asking a question. I'm not trying to get you upset. Do you think that all billionaires are evil, like right-wing conspiracy, like right-wing nuts, or what? I'm just trying to.
Number one, I don't
understand.
I don't even bother with political parties on this show because I don't even think they really exist. Okay. And number two, I don't know all billionaires, man. So how can I say that with any type of truth to it? What I'm telling you about Bill Gates is true. Why don't you go disprove what I told you, so that you'll and like I said, I mean honestly, the things I talk about on this show, I don't want them to be true. I make no money from this. Okay, so if anybody out there, I've asked for this plenty of times in this program. If anybody out there can disprove anything I say, then please send me the information because I don't want the things that I believe that are true. I don't want to believe they're true. So
I didn't get on here to talk about Bill Gates. I was talking about genetically modified things, how they help evolution.
Well, you can't say that with any type of truth to it because we haven't seen any evolution happen in a positive way due to genetically modified anything. So you're believing
look at apples. Like I said, apples.
Yeah, and genetically modified foods are immunotoxins. Okay, so that genetically modified food, just because it doesn't bruise and makes it look pretty and perfect in the store, so that the consumer is more drawn to buy the apple. I mean, if you look at organic apples next to GM apples, which apple looks nicer? Which apple makes you want to eat it more? It's the genetically modified apple. Now, if everybody's out there eating great, healthy, genetically modified apples, we wouldn't have half the disease we have in this world, right? I mean, we wouldn't have any issues with MMR vaccines. We wouldn't have any cancer rates spiking up 200% in the last 10 years with really no explanation from the medical community whatsoever besides, it's genetic. Yeah, modified.
Yeah, I think a lot of it does have to do with genetics.
Yeah, I know you think a lot of stuff. Well, hey, look, man, I'm going to jump and get on my next caller. You look up some of that information I told you, and hey, if you can send me information that changes my mind, I'll be very appreciative of that.
I love how the burden of proof is on me. Good job.
Well, I've done my research for 10 years. That's why I'm here doing this. Have a good one, brother. All right. 617. Hello, caller. Are you there?
Oh, yes, I'm right here. Jeff from Chelsea, Massachusetts. How's it going, Darren?
I've been waiting for you to call, Jeff.
That last call was very interesting. He sounds like Rush Limbaugh, doesn't he? Oh, my goodness.
He was a silly man.
But you know what's scary is, and I'm not ragging on the caller, but a lot of people I like this. I mean, it's really amazing, but that's not the reason why I called up. The reason why I called up is genetically modified food. I'm sorry, I'd rather go natural any day. That's just common sense. I mean, you don't know what they're sticking in your food.
Now, hey, look, you know, anybody who thinks that moving farther away from nature, that man can do a better job than nature can, is fooling themselves. And the farther we as a society have gotten away from nature, the sicker we've gotten.
I remember when I was a kid, I went to camp up in New Hampshire. I used to feel so much better when I used to come back. I lived in East Boston when I was younger, and when I go up to New Hampshire, I mean, my skin would clear up. I mean, it was wonderful being up in New Hampshire and that nice fresh forest air.
Right.
I mean, what, you know, you're absolutely right, and we are heading for a police state, and what the heck are people going to do when we become a police state? Because you know what, I mean, I know your show.
Hey Jeff, people like my last caller, they'll welcome it, and they'll think that everything's great, and the police and the privatized security forces are going to protect them from a terrorist. And then, like the Russian said, only when the commandant's boot is kicking him in his American ass will he actually understand.
That is funny. Oh my goodness, who said that? That's funny.
I played an interview a few times on the show. It's you can check it out on YouTube. Edward G. Griffin interviews an ex-KGB agent. His name is Alexei something. I can't remember his last name.
Oh yeah. I'll find it. But that is so funny because you know what, I do security work, and even though what I do is very mild, you know what, I mean I got called into the office for being too politically incorrect. So and this, like I said, what I went through is very mild. I mean just wait. People are going to be in their workplace, and they're going to be told in no uncertain terms, you have to toe the line. If you don't toe the line, you're out the door right now. That's what's coming to this country, and this is going to happen in all businesses, from burger flipper to security, and you're going to see goons on the street sticking their hands down your pants. They already got the Viper programs. They already have all this stuff. I personally haven't seen it in Boston yet. I don't travel too far outside the city, but I'm sure there's checkpoints in the Massachusetts area if you go further out. I mean,
yeah.
Yes.
I don't know either, man. I mean, I try to stay away from the populated areas myself. I mean, I was I was in New York for Occupy Wall Street for a weekend, but other than that, I avoid that stuff as much as I can. So
I can't help living in a populated area because I can't afford to leave. But I mean, I haven't seen any checkpoints in Chelsea, and I haven't seen any checkpoints in Boston, although they did have a drill in the Boston area. But we do have the liberals in Boston, and if something ever happened in Boston, you know that they will pull cover for Obama, just like Rahm Emanuel in Chicago would pull cover for Obama. I mean, I was doing some research today about Marvin Bush and that whole thing with 9/11. 9/11 was an inside job. I mean, Marvin Bush being on the board of directors of the Securicom company. I mean, come on. And
right,
you know, and even if Muslims did do it, the president turned a blind eye to it, allowing it to happen. So we'd be a police state. So it doesn't matter whether it's an inside job or whether they allow it to happen. Guess what? We're now a police state as a result of it. Man, people got their head in the sand. Oh my goodness, and people don't even want to think about this stuff. I mean, before I go. I mean, it basically, we need TSA to defeat these ragheads, these brown scummy ragheads, and my mind is like, wait a minute, Obama's not going to go after them. They're going to go after you, the white patriot. I mean, what the heck, are people that stupid? People don't realize that once a mechanism gets put into place, they can change the people who they search. They can go from brown, filthy raghead to right-wing, racist, redneck honky in an instant. I mean, you don't have the mechanism in place for them to be able to do that in the first place. Man, are people a bunch of sheep. Well, anyways.
Right. Hey, no, wait, Jeff, don't go yet.
Okay, I won't.
Remember a long time ago I said, man, when I get T-shirts, I'm going to send you a free T-shirt?
Yes.
Okay, well, I want to send you a free T-shirt, okay, because I finally got them. So do me a favor, just email me your address that I can send it to, okay?
Okay. Hey, Darren, I thank you for having me on the broadcast, and do have a good one.
All right, Jeff. Have a good one, brother.
Okay, bye.
All right, so there. Wow, hey, I had no idea genetically modified mosquitoes would cause such a uproar. Hey, but, like that caller said, let me just, hey, I'll attack him again since he's not on the air. He liked that. Like you said, we're living longer. Never mind that kids have cancer at age 6. We're all living longer, healthier lives, right? Yeah, okay. All right, anyways, let's move into our government protecting us from the evil terrorists. Let's see. Okay, let me start off with this clip right here, and this will lead into the next segment.
You take heat in the elevator that's right behind you.
Can you put a credit card on the
No credit card.
Terrorists and criminals do their best to cover their tracks.
Sir, if you will just give me one moment.
This may include paying in cash or using false identification.
Hang on a second. Let me call you back.
I'm sorry about it.
Suzanne?
I have this guest who wants to stay for a few weeks and wants to pay in advance in cash.
Well, cash is money last time I checked. What's the problem? Did you ask him for a credit card?
Yeah, I did. He said he doesn't have one. He doesn't use them.
No credit cards? How about an ID?
Well, he gave me one. It just doesn't feel right.
Well, everyone's normal until they check into a hotel. Problem?
I guess it's not a problem. It's just weird. Okay, we have everything checked out then. That's for you. And
If your interaction with a patron feels odd, if that person appears nervous or anxious, refuses to show ID, if the ID seems to be altered, or if the guest insists on paying with cash for sums that are customarily charged and refuses to show a credit card, alert your manager or security personnel. This is suspicious behavior.
Did you ask him for a credit card?
Yeah, I did. He said he doesn't have one. He doesn't use them.
No credit cards?
I guess it's not a problem. It's just weird.
Did you ask him for a credit card?
Yeah, I did. He said he doesn't have one. He doesn't use them.
No credit cards?
I guess it's not a problem.
So, hey, I asked him for a credit card, but he doesn't have one. It's just weird. And hey, being weird is obviously terrorist activity. I mean, this woman's opinion of someone being quote unquote weird is alerting her that this man may be a terrorist because he doesn't have a credit card. Well, hey, maybe he doesn't want to get raped by the interest rates. Maybe he doesn't want to deal with the whole credit card system. Does that make you a terrorist? If you use American cash, now you're considered a terrorist. Did you see? Do you see the whole psyop that goes on in that DHS commercial there? If he doesn't use cash, if he uses cash, he's a terrorist. If he doesn't have a credit card, he's a terrorist. But he shows his ID. Notice how they just kind of smooth over that. Did he show you ID? Well, yes, but So, I'm sure my first caller uses credit cards. It's too easy. All right, so here we go. Do you own flashlights? Yeah, you could be a terrorist. Do you pay with cash instead of a credit card? Could be a terrorist. Do you do grocery shopping for the week? You could be a terrorist. Remember, if you have more than 7 days worth of food, Department of Homeland Security considers that a terrorist activity. I do these things. You probably do these things too. And guess what? According to the Department of Homeland Security and the FBI, we're all terrorists. I didn't make that up. That's facts. That's from the Department of Homeland Security, who also say returning vets, people who wear Levi jeans, bald guys, people who are nice. Yes, that's actually in the list. but I suppose I'm just making up these crazy conspiracies. I mean, the National Defense Authorization Act is not has no bearing on freedom or sovereignty at all, right? Right. No, it's conspiracy theory. Recently, the Department of Homeland Security video has been making its way around the internet. It tells people, in Nomics terms, that paying in cash is suspicious and weird. Yeah. In an assertive yet calm voice, the narrator tells viewers that, quote, if a patron appears nervous or anxious or insists on paying cash, contact your security personnel, who are linked into NSA databases. This is suspicious behavior. So basically, if you've had a stressful day and you don't have a credit card, you're screwed. But I suppose, again, I'm probably just making way more of this because everything's been going so well for all of us, right, in the last 10 years. Right. This suggestion and many others has been sent out of hotels across the United States as part of the DHS ongoing, quote, See Something, Say Something program. It even includes an 84-page manual grandly titled Protective Measures Guide for the U.S. Lodging Industry, which points out that asking for privacy, among other things, is a red flag. And that's really, okay, so I'm not going to go into this whole thing, but I want to also go over, there's a handout that the FBI gives to, well, let's use, as an example, let's say this hotel and the hotel security staff. And the FBI would hand them a pamphlet, and the pamphlet is called Communities Against Terrorism. Because by the way, people, your chances of dying from terrorists are, 112 times less than crashing on your bicycle, hitting your head and dying. But, hey, we have to have a massive security infrastructure just in case, right? I mean, if 9/11 wasn't an inside job, I guess NORAD and the Pentagon had their thumbs up their ass that day, I guess. Anyway, so this Community Against Terrorism pamphlet, which reads Potential Indicators of Terrorist Activities Related to Military Surplus Stores. Okay. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. This is for military surplus stores only. So if you walk into a military surplus store, basically don't buy anything because then you're going to be considered a terrorist. So why the FBI hasn't been raiding military surplus stores to this point, I don't know. But what they say is person or groups who provide identification that is inconsistent or suspect or demands identity privacy. All right. Insist on paying with cash. I mean, why, if you're going to pay with cash, why would you have to show any ID at a checkout counter? You shouldn't, right? I mean, I'm probably pretty sure they're going to want you to show ID for anything in the near future, but okay, we won't speculate like genetic modification helping with evolution. We won't speculate. Insist on paying with cash or uses credit cards in different names. Well, duh. That's called fraud. It's not called terrorism. It's called fraud. Significantly alters appearance from visit to visit, shaving beard, changing hair color, style of dress. Well, no individuality, everybody. Don't dye your hair or shave your facial hair off or wear something or change your clothes. What else is next? Oh, have missing hand or fingers, chemical burns, strange odors, or bright-colored stains on clothing. Could be a terrorist. Make a racist or extreme religious statement coupled with comments that are violent or appear to condone violence. That could make you a terrorist. No, that just makes you an a-hole. That's what that makes you. Or a racist. One of the two. Or a wacko. Make suspicious comments regarding anti-U.S. radical theology, vague or cryptic warnings that suggest or appear to endorse the use of violence in support of a cause. You mean like invading country after country? And slaughtering innocent people and trashing the land with depleted uranium? You know, we wouldn't want to use violence to support a cause. How about demonstrate interest in uses that do not seem consistent with the intended use of the item being purchased, such as well, I just bought myself this old World War II Japanese gas mask, because I'm a collector of such things, and I'm going to hang it on my wall. That's not conducive with what a gas mask is used for. It's conducive with being a hobbyist and a collector, but hey, I could be a terrorist. Possesses little knowledge of intended purchase items. So if you happen to want to maybe purchase a military sleep system, which consists of, I think it's 4 different variations, you better not ask the guy that works in the store, hey, how do these zippers work on this sleep system? Because you could be a terrorist. Or make bulk purchases of items, such as ammunition. Well, I guess we have to get down to what is to be considered bulk. Is a case of ammunition considered bulk? If you're an avid target shooter and you know you can get a cheaper rate on your ammo if you buy it in bulk, that makes you a terrorist. Meals ready to eat. Well, I guess you don't want to go camping and have any MREs on you, right? Night vision devices such as flashlights, gas masks, and night goggles. Well, you know what? They should just, instead of calling the stores military surplus stores, let's just have the terrorist outlet. Terrorist discount outlet. How's that? And the other thing you don't want to buy is a high-capacity magazine for your rifle, because that can make you a terrorist also. Because, you know, when you're out there at the range, when you have your little 5-round clip in, you know, it's kind of a pain in the butt after 5 rounds on, say, a carbine rifle to have to reload your magazine. It's way easier and you get much better at shooting if you can just get into a rhythm with, say, a 30-round magazine. But, again, that's terrorism, I guess. Okay, so. And while we're on the caller, I have a caller on the line here, 413. Hello, caller, are you there?
Yes, hi.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. My name is Rose.
Hey, Rose, how are you?
I'm good, good. I just wanted to comment on some of the early part you talked about on what a terrorist could be, especially these things like having 7 days worth of food and buying things with cash, and these like really silly things that there's a lot of people who, for example, get a check once a month, so they go grocery shopping and buy a lot of food, so they don't have to go grocery shopping again.
Rose, you better stop using common sense, okay? Just stop
I know,
it.
Right?
That's a terrorist activity in itself.
That's right. You're absolutely right. I can't use common sense anymore.
No.
And what about people that don't have credit cards because they can't get credit?
You know, I, for one, have terrible credit, because my view of credit is this. If I have credit, all that credit really allows me to do is get into debt.
Exactly.
So I don't want that. So I don't have a credit.
But that's what they want.
Of course it is.
That's what they want you to do, is get into debt.
Right.
Yep.
It is crazy, right? I mean, the things I'm saying, I didn't make these things up. These are official statements from Department of Homeland Security. That clip I just played is a production from Department of Homeland Security. There's actually a 9-minute version of it, which I'll be posting up on my Facebook page, which goes over to my website, frontradio.net, shameless plug. Yeah, I mean, it's big production for these things, and you see the whole premise of this is just ridiculous. And I try to point it out. I mean, when the woman says, you know, when her boss asked her, did he show ID? She's like, well, yeah, but, you know, we skip right over that. But she just thinks it's weird, Rose. It's just weird.
Yeah. Well, and that's the brainwashing that's happening, is that people are being kind of, you know, led down this path that certain things are weird when they're not weird.
No.
They're quite normal. And that's the scary part about the whole NDAA thing, is that people that are actually quite normal, you know, can get tagged as being terrorists, which makes no sense at all. But that's my comment.
Oh, well, thank you. And you know, the whole thing with, I mean, what about accusing or pointing out returning veterans as the #1 terror threat in the country? I mean, here you go. I'm no supporter of the troops because I can't support the mission, so therefore I can't support the troops. Okay? I mean, I know there's plenty of good guys in the service, and there's plenty of not good guys in the service. So I can't just blanket support the troops. But if I was military and I came back, and in the 60s, we all heard about the hippies, not liking the soldiers, and that whole thing, and how people would say mean things to the soldiers when they got off planes and stuff like that. And I didn't agree with that because those guys, as far as I'm concerned, they had good intentions. They thought they were doing the right thing. I guess it comes to a point where you have to act like an adult and think like an adult and realize what you're doing. And I'm sure a lot of those guys, I actually know some Vietnam vets that, as time went on, were pretty horrified at the things they'd done and realized it was really for nothing. But if I'm a returning vet, it's not the people telling me that they don't like me. It's the actual guys that sent me there in the first place.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it's a very complicated situation when it comes to that. There's no doubt. And you do hear people who are returning vets. I've seen things like on YouTube who they speak out against the things that they had to do because they were ordered to do, and maybe people think about that and say, gee, they're against the government. Well, I don't think they're against the government. They're against what they were made to do. So they could be easily labeled, but I would never label a veteran as a terrorist. I mean, why would they be number one? That's just weird thinking to me.
Well,
it's just kind of weird thinking.
What
else can I say?
It is weird thinking, but if people believe what I believe and believe that there is a global government agenda in the works here that we are heading towards at a rapid pace, well, guys that would actually know how to fight back would be a threat to me if I was trying to implement that. So that's probably why I would label them the number one terrorist threat.
And I guess that's why I say it's weird thinking.
Yeah. That's
I don't
it's
think that way.
It's Orwellian. Yeah. Well, again, it's common sense, Rose. You use that, and it's a lost art. It's a lost skill, I should say, not an art. It's a lost skill.
Yeah, I agree. I want to thank you for putting this stuff out there.
Thanks, Rose. And hey, if you want a T-shirt, I'll send you a free T-shirt. Just shoot me your address at thefront@live.com, okay?
Well, thank you. I will.
Yeah. And if you want to see what the T-shirt looks like, check it on the website, frontradio.net.
I just did.
Okay.
All right, take care.
All right, you too. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. So there goes Rose. Nice phone call. Someone using common sense. It's nice to hear that. Okay, so we're going to stay on the theme of ridiculousness as far as terrorism goes. And I don't know if you guys have heard about the cupcake incident where a woman flying out of Logan with a couple. They were in a mason jar. It's a new type of cupcake that this place called Wicked Cupcakes made. And she had 2 jars of basically cupcake in a jar is what it was, with a little spoon and a bow, wrapped with a bow to the jar. It was considered a threat. The cupcake was a threat because a certain TSA agent said that the frosting appeared to be could be a explosive gel-like substance. Okay, that, as my last caller Rose said, is weird thinking. Okay, but check this out. Here's a news clip from I think it's Channel 5 out of Boston.
These treats right here, they might seem sinful to some folks, but are they really a terrorist threat? Well, the TSA agent seemed to think the Cohasset-made desserts could be turned into killer cupcakes.
News Center 5's John Atwater shows us how cupcakes are turning into a civil liberties issue.
We specialize in cupcakes and mini cakes.
The cupcakes here get rave reviews.
Incredibly moist, fudgy chocolate deliciousness.
But a new cake packed in a mason jar.
This is the culprit that caused the stir.
Apparently posed too much of a threat to travel on an airplane.
We went out with 2 cupcakes in a jar. TSA in Boston said, "These look delicious." But TSA in Las Vegas thought they looked dangerous.
The sweet, cakey culprit was confiscated.
It's the cupcake terror threat.
And Rebecca Haynes returned home empty-handed and frustrated.
He seems to have some concerns about the frosting being a gel-like substance.
You're the one who bakes this. Is there a liquid or a gel in that jar?
No, it's just cake, filling, and frosting.
The bakers at Cohasset's Wicked Good Cupcakes never thought their delights could cause such disruption.
A diet threat, maybe, but...
And although the inconvenience spared her a few hundred calories...
They stole my cupcake. Maybe he was hungry.
Rebecca would like an explanation from the TSA.
It's not really about safety. It's about making people follow rules that really, I think, to the average traveler seem arbitrary and are encroaching on our civil liberties.
John Atwater, News Center 5.
Now, the TSA said in a statement to News Center 5 this afternoon that the TSA is reviewing the circumstances of this situation, but passengers are generally allowed to take cakes and cupcakes through the security checkpoint, so somebody owes her a cupcake.
They are generally allowed to take your baked goods through TSA security checkpoints. Whew. Freedom rings, everybody. Freedom rings. I'm not even going to really elaborate on that story because it's so crazy, but I'm sure people like my first caller will justify it, and I'm sure he'll sleep a little bit better tonight knowing that TSA has stopped the transportation of cupcakes across state lines on the airplanes. Okay. I'm sure he has no candy canes in his house either because those can be sucked on and sharpened to points and be used as a weapon. So, can't. Safety, people, safety. Give up all liberties to be saved from a pretend threat. All right. Let's kind of sum up all this stuff, okay, and really get down to what we're looking at in this country right now, and not just in this country, but all over the world, especially in all NATO countries, or the majority of NATO countries. There's an article by Madison Rupert. I mentioned him at the beginning of the show. His website is endthelie.com. With all the pieces in place, when will the hammer drop? Over the past few months, those who have been paying attention have witnessed some of the most disturbing developments in modern American history unfold at breakneck speed. This includes the explicit codification of indefinite detention without charge or trial, as well as rendition under the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2012. The KBR, which is Kellogg Brown and Root, the Halliburton Company, moved to create a team of subcontractors to activate the so-called FEMA camps on a moment's notice, and the designation of American citizens as the enemy under continuity of government plans created by the Federal Emergency Management Agency. Those are all true things written in legislature. That is not a conspiracy theory, everybody. And I know most people listening to this program get that. I'm not talking to you. Unfortunately, the file revealing the FEMA COG plans entitled National Continuity Programs, NCP, Program and Mission Support Services, was quickly removed from the Federal Business Opportunities official website, according to InfoWars. All that is left in a message. All that's left is a message warning users not to upload any classified materials, even though the document was listed as a source selection sensitive and not classified, as the warning notice might have you believe. This serves just another example of our criminal, corrupt government believing that there is no need for them to be accountable for their actions to the American people, which are used as collateral and manpower in their schemes. The developments have been part of a gradual march towards an all-encompassing authoritarian police state with a massive surveillance grid so expansive Orwell would likely never believe it could be reality. And remember what Orwell said, if you want a vision of the future, picture a boot stepping on a human face. He also said that we had the power to change it if we so desired. But I suppose Orwell was nothing but conspiracy theory. He just took a really, really good guess, right? Real good guess. Just a few pieces of this incomparably complex control grid include the Carrier IQ monitoring software, which is loaded onto every major smartphone by every major wireless service provider. Drone surveillance, which includes so-called threat assessment technology and facial recognition, comprehensive and centralized biometric databases, along with widespread citizen spying programs. The surveillance state, which has already been rolled out and is only increasing in reach and depth, is complemented by the militarization of police moving towards a de facto martial law. However, the National Defense Authorization Act makes the steady move to turn local and state police departments into paramilitary forces look like child's play. Previously, I believe that programs like the Pentagon's 1033 program were being used to transform public servants into public oppressors without having to formally declare martial law, but now it is clear that I was wrong. Under the NDA, there is absolutely no need to declare martial law now or in the future, given that it effectively eviscerates the Bill of Rights, the Posse Comitatus Act, and the Non-Detention Act. And this is why I'm covering this article from Rupert, because of that one paragraph that he wrote, and he is absolutely right. Where all of us out there, all these people that talk about the imposition of martial law and the declaration of martial law, and this is going to bring martial law and that's going to bring martial law, we already have martial law. There's no need to declare it. And Madison is right on point with that. And it's incremental martial law, so that people that are, I'll say, drinking the Kool-Aid, like the first caller I had tonight, they don't get this. They don't understand history, and they don't understand the progression of tyranny. They also don't understand the progression of genocide, because there are actual steps that progress towards genocide. Dehumanization is one of those steps. And if you look at the treatment of anybody protesting, whether it be Occupy Wall Street, whether it be Tea Party, whether it be anti-abortion, whether it be pro-vet, whether it be anti-GMO, everybody has a right to protest anything they want to. That's your right to protest. But if you look at how these people are being treated, let's say pepper sprayed, beaten up, tased, all of these things. Look at these other so-called non-lethal weapons that the police are going to be outfitted with. We have the shotgun taser that costs us as taxpayers $100 per shell and can, take you out. So we're paying to be shot at. We have police drones. We have the LRAD cannons mounted on urban assault vehicles that will cripple you with sound. I mean, do I need to go on? This is to quell protests. This is to quell free speech. But again, people like my first caller, either he's just screwing with me or he's really, really that ignorant. I don't know. But listen, there are people out there like that. And there's also people out there that will willingly choose to be on the side of the global government transformation and will think that they are on the winning team. But if anybody understands history, and really just look at Germany for this, we're not going to get into the history of the Nazis, but just look at who ended up being killed by the Nazis. It wasn't just Jews. It was everybody by the end. Everybody. Once your usefulness was done, you were disposed of. All these civil rights groups out there, they're only allowed to exist so that it appears that we have some type of civil rights. Once their usefulness is done, as far as propagating the lie that we have civil rights, well, then they'll be disposed of. But there's people out there that, again, they don't get it. So if anybody, the NDA is a real thing. The National Defense Authorization Act is a real thing. I mean, it states all of these things, that you and I can be pulled out of our house by military and detained in actually a foreign prison and never get out. That's it. Abolition of habeas corpus, posse comitatus, all your sovereign rights, everything done, gone. But you see, people like that think like my first caller. They will just think, well, I'm not doing anything wrong, so that doesn't apply to me. That isn't the point. The point is that if it wasn't going to have something to do with you, it should be specific wording in the legislation, and it's not. Okay? It's not. I'm not making that up. That's not a theory. That's the truth. All right. So the writer of this article is 100% right. There is really no need to declare martial law because we are living in it right now. Because if I get pulled over by the police and I feel I'm being pulled over for the wrong thing, or I'm being hassled and I don't have ID, or I refuse to show ID, if I know the law and how to talk my way out of this, and I know how to present myself to these officers, well, hey, they can just slap me with terrorist activity and my rights are gone, done. That's it. But that's okay with a lot of people, I guess. You know, I'm pretty sure back in, say, like 1929 in Germany, there was people confused. You know, there was people that thought like my first caller. And I'm pretty sure there was debate on things. I'm pretty sure there was people who said, well, they're not going to do that to me, or, you know, but we all know what happened then, right? So under the NDAA, declaring martial law would just be redundant, given that there is absolutely nothing stopping the military from kicking down the doors of innocent Americans and holding them indefinitely under the guise of fighting terrorism. Or, I mean, look at me speaking out against what the government's doing. That can be considered a terrorist activity. My door could get kicked in tonight at 2:30 or 3 a.m. Well, tomorrow morning. Right? And people like my first caller would say, good, that guy, he's part of the problem. Get rid of him. No due process. He'll support no due process also. We are already seeing military technology being rolled out in situations where it hardly seems warranted, as was in the case with the use of a Predator B drone in North Dakota, along with the entirety of the dangerous domestic drone program and the decision to deploy an armored personnel carrier to the Occupy Tampa protests. You know, I mean, think about it. Think about it. Think about you. I mean, look, if you don't even have to believe a conspiracy theory. You don't have to believe anything that's said on radio shows like this. As a taxpayer, the fact that the police utilized a drone to help find 3 lost cows that wandered onto someone's property and then charge the people who own the property with cow theft. Used to be called cattle rustling back in the day. You know, just as a taxpayer, I mean, look, it's North Dakota, people. Do those officers really have that much going on where they couldn't just send out a couple of guys in a cruiser to check it out? We have to launch the new Predator drone in North Dakota? Hey, you know me. Crazy thinking right here. Just thinking crazy. There's no need for the individual to even have tenuous links to terrorism or terrorist groups, as the military will never be forced to justify their actions or present evidence to anyone. Well, that's right. Even more disturbing is that now American citizens can be charged with providing, quote, material support to terrorists simply by writing about issues which might otherwise be covered by free speech, such as the author of this article. Okay? This article I'm reading could be labeled as material support for terrorists. This was exemplified by the case of 29-year-old Tariq Mahena, who federal prosecutors claim traveled to Yemen in 2004 in hopes of training as a terrorist and then killing American soldiers fighting in Iraq. However, Mahena failed to locate any training camps, clearly indicating he is not keyed in to the terrorist underworld, and then allegedly returned home to promote al-Qaeda by writing about violent jihad against the United States online. Mahena and his legal team have a much different story. Instead of going to Yemen to attempt and fail to find a terrorist training camp, Mahema claims that he went to Yemen simply to receive instruction to become an Islamic scholar, and that his writings on the internet were protected by free speech, which they should be. Right? It's just like my first caller when I mentioned that I was in New York for Occupy Wall Street. You see, he threw out a few names and accusations and thought he had an idea of what he was talking about. But you see, what he doesn't know is I went there as a reporter, not as a protester, because we weren't getting anything from mainstream media. So, as a guy who wants to find out the truth, I went there to find out the truth for myself. And I had plenty to say about Occupy Wall Street when I got back. Maybe you want to go back and listen to some of those episodes, you know? Or you can just make up your own mind and your own delusional fantasy that I am a 99%er dirty hippie. Whatever. All right, where are we here? Oh, we have another caller in the line. Well, I'm getting a lot of callers tonight. Let's check it out. Hello, 917, are you there?
I'm here.
How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. It's really a pleasure to talk to you.
What's going on?
Well, Chief here. Sure
it's Chief?
Yeah.
It's Chief Kicking Pigeons.
That's me.
Dude, you're making my night. You're making my night. What's up?
Well, thanks. You made my night. I think you made a lot of people's nights. It's really important what you do. I just want to start off by saying that, you're providing a great service. It's necessary. We need more guys like you. It's a great show. More people should hear it.
Thanks, man.
But,
I'll send you that $5, Chief. Thanks.
Oh, that's okay. It's fiat anyway. I just wanted to highlight some things you're talking about as far as terrorism this, terrorism that. It's a real bastardized word, man. It's so played out. It's pretty much ridiculous at this point, and it's kind of like the catch-all, if you want to impose your idea of the world on anyone, you can just coin this word, apply it to everybody and everything, and that's all you need to do to drop the hammer, like you're saying. When you're talking about things like the Fourth Amendment being ripped apart in Indiana, you're talking about checkpoints in Tennessee, you're talking about cracking down in the G20 and arresting 1,000 protesters. What this is it's basically testing. It's like a testing ground. It's like these effing, GMO mosquitoes. They're just going to test every bad idea that they can think up, and that's how they make it okay, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's like sticking your toe in the water. Hey, let's see how the populace will react if we do this to them. Oh, okay, they didn't do anything for that. Let's do this to them. Oh, look, they still didn't do anything.
No, exactly. And they're testing the electrical fence. It's they can get away with this, they can get away with that, and then they set a precedent. Because it's tacitly okay with everyone else because it's not at my door. It's not here in my town yet. It's not my next door neighbor yet. Only I'll tell you this. I'll give you a couple examples. Like I had a buddy who was arrested the other night. He was held for 72 hours without charge. And they let him go. And he's like, well, gee, wasn't that funny? I mean, the guy's homeless, and he doesn't have a pot to piss in the window to throw it out. But still, there he goes, led on his merry way. And well, I was detained for 72 hours, and I wasn't charged. There's an example right there.
What they pick him up for?
Go ahead.
What did they pick him up for?
For being homeless. I mean, he was driving an unregistered vehicle, and if you were talking about the free man policy, and the right to travel, and these, you think you'd have the inherent right to do certain things, and that's a whole nother bag of worms. But anyways, they didn't tell me. They took his truck. They didn't charge him for that. Basically, they held him for this time. He wasn't charged with a crime. You're driving not registered, whatever. But he was held. That's the point. It's held without a charge, and that really was it in a nutshell.
Right.
So there's an idea. The G20 is another example of that. It's like, well, we can just do this to 1,000 people. Some people will protest it. Maybe it'll make some news. Maybe it won't. But it kind of gets forgotten about. And I think, Tom York said it because, you forget so easy. And we need to not only not forget, but our intuition needs to be up to the point where we can see it coming before it happens. The cupcake guy, holy hell. I mean, really. Here's another example. A friend of mine was a Capitol police officer. And he told me an interesting incident one day where someone left a bottle of Diet Coke open without the cap on it or something, just, sitting next to the Capitol building. They evacuated the Capitol for this. And
oh, my God. Are you kidding me?
No, because...
and hey, the funny thing is that, and then you'll get some guy, beating his chest about how he's a brave, free American and don't mess with him, but yet we'll evacuate a whole building because there's a bottle of Diet Coke without a cap on it.
And that's what it takes to bring this country to its knees, man. Is a fucking cupcake, is an open bottle of Diet Coke,
Yeah.
And it's just everyone is such a twitch. We all need to just stop, look, and listen, relax, and see what really is going on, before it all just falls apart. We're the only ones holding it up if we're strong enough to do it.
Yeah, look, man, I don't know. We all sit back and we wait for, quote unquote, it to go down, but in my opinion, it is going down, and, they just keep using incrementalism, although, those increments have gotten larger and larger. They've been taking big chunks and big chunks. I don't know if there is going to be an it to make it go down, which really freaks me out, because that's just going to take, it's not going to, if there wasn't it to make it go down, then that might trigger some people to wake up. But if we just have this continuation of larger and larger oh boy. All right, you know the word I'm looking for. I'm not going to try again. What the hell? Anyway, they keep doing that. We could end up with, being locked up before we even know it, And that's really what kind of freaks me out. And, I don't understand how some people just don't see what's going on and don't understand the progression. It totally freaks me out, really. People like the guy that called in the beginning of the show, I can't even wrap my head around what that guy sees when he looks out there.
No, and it sounds like my neighbor, and it sounds like my folks. It sounds like the people that I'm trying to get through to who have this general illusion that everything is okay.
Right.
And it's only okay until it happens to you. And I think that's just the point that I want to leave with you and your listeners, is that, don't be that guy. Don't be that group. Don't be that community. Be as prepared as you can for an if. And if it doesn't happen, then you are prepared, and you can help make a better community. But it's just, that's that worrying thing, is that testing the waters. Why wait till someone is knocking on your door, or someone is wondering why you don't have a credit card? I don't have a credit card. I haven't had a credit card in 10 years. I guess I'm freaking guilty, huh?
Yeah, well, I'm right with you. When I remember when I was younger, my mother used to beat into my head, you need good credit. You need good credit. And I just had the hardest time getting good credit. And for the longest time, I felt like such a loser because I didn't have good credit. Credit was this thing I couldn't see. I couldn't touch it. I didn't know what it was, but man, I had to get it. Credit. And finally came to the realization that, wow, credit just puts me in debt.
Right.
I don't want that anymore.
People have gotten to the point where they're so immersed in that debt, where they're wondering what they're going to do with that college education. Then they might think to themselves, maybe I should, listen to my intuition a little bit more. Maybe they're in a place now where they can say, hey, my gut's telling me something different, and I think that's what we need to go with. We need to go with that collective gut, when things are not right.
Yeah, what's really freaking me out also is, the amount of, and I'm going to consider Russia Today as a mainstream media outlet, but they're putting out some articles, talking about things that, that I talk about on the show. Just right out there. Obviously it won't seep into the masses, spongy heads, unless, Wolf Blitzer talks about it, or, one of the bimbos on Fox or something like that. But they won't touch this stuff. But, I see it creeping out there, and I see more and more what the mainstream would consider credible people talking about this stuff. And, I don't know. I don't know. We're in some very dicey times, man. And I don't know if there is going to be an it for it to go down or not. But I kind of hope that there is an it, and let's get this show on the road, because the path we're taking now is, I don't know. I try to imagine it. I try to imagine who's going to start fighting back first.
It's very disconcerting. Yeah, well, you got to pick a side. It's a strange irony that one of the checks that we have on mainstream media is something like Russia Today, right?
Right.
I dig James Corbett. I think there's a lot of no nonsense there, and I think you need to cut through the bullshit. We really need to do that, and you're doing that, and I really want to commend you for that, man. And I'm going to let you go, but I will be talking to you probably pretty soon.
All right, Chief. Thanks for calling, my friend.
Thanks, buddy. Rock on.
All right. Well, there he goes. Chief Kicking Pigeons. Probably one of the best screen names I've ever heard. Besides a guy I used to game with back in the day, but I can't really say his screen name on air, but it was a good one. So anyway, you guys, with this, let's see. Back to this article. I guess I'll can this article. I'll be posting it up. I actually already posted it up on the Front's website a little earlier this week, but I had it set aside to do on the show because it was so well written. Again, this is Madison Rupert. Madison, if you're listening, shoot me an email, brother. front@live.com, and let's get you on the show. And I just want to kick back and have a big discussion with Madison. I just want to talk like we're sitting out on the porch, drinking a couple beers, shooting it, you know. All right. Show's starting to wind down, everybody. I did have a couple more stories here. What did I have? I had that article out of Russia Today, what's in store for 2012. And I also had this other story out of the Daily Mail about a police officer, off-duty cop Dale Long, age 42, out in Murrieta, California, in a bar, playing some darts, drinking, and got in a little altercation with somebody, and the off-duty cop was quoted as saying, because a guy came up to the cop and told him that he sucked at darts, and the guy said, the cop said, I'm a cop, I can do whatever I want to do. And the guy said, really, you can do anything? And the cop said, yeah. And the cop pulled out his gun and put 3 in his chest and killed him. There you go. So, you know, the reason I report on that is because I don't imagine that's going to be splattered all over CNN. Although, if a citizen pumped 3 shots into a cop's chest and killed him, we'd probably see it all over the nightly news. And not that that's the right thing to do at all. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that, you know, the news will never, the media will never paint out the police to be anything but protecting and serving. And like I always say about the protect and serve logo on the sides of police cars, which, to be honest with you, I've been looking at police cars lately in my area, and that phrase is no longer on the police cars. But my thing was about that phrase, to protect and serve. It says to protect and serve ... It doesn't say who they're serving or who they're protecting, you know? So it kind of leaves it open-ended like legislation. All right, I'm going to leave you guys with this soundbite. Listen, everybody, dicey times, keep your head on a swivel, you know, inform other people, spread the word about this show if you like it, spread the word if you hate it too, whatever you want to do. Check out Facebook for The Front and check out frontradio.net. Listen, like we talked about, okay, you got to speak up, all right? Because if you don't, something like this will go down.
First they came for the Muslims, and I didn't speak up because I wasn't a Muslim. Then they came for immigrants, detaining them indefinitely, solely upon the certification of the Attorney General, and I didn't speak up because I wasn't an immigrant. Then they came to enter homes and offices for unannounced sneak and peek searches, and I didn't speak up because I had nothing to hide. Then they came to arrest American citizens and hold them indefinitely without any charges and without access to lawyers, and I didn't speak up because I would never be arrested. Then they came for immigrants and students from selected countries, luring them under the requirements of special registration as a ruse to seize them and detain them, and I didn't speak up because I wasn't required to register. Then they came for anyone who objected to government policy because it only aided the terrorists that gave ammunition to America's enemies, and I didn't speak up because I didn't speak up. And then they came for me, and by that time, no one was left to speak up.
That's how it'll go down, everybody. All right, have a great week. I'll be back Thursday, 6 p.m., all right? Stay safe. Thanks for being here, everybody.
Your choice is simple. Join us and live in peace, or pursue your present course and face obliteration. We shall be waiting for your answer. The decision rests with you.